All right, welcome everybody. Today I have Steve Gordon here with me. Steve is a marketing expert and he works a lot with solopreneurs, and so I thought we've looked at a couple of topics that he really excels at, and today he's going to be talking with us about referral marketing. Let me give you a quick introduction of Steve and what he's got going on. His background, he was actually took over as CEO of his first company at age 28, and he is currently founder of Steve Gordon Marketing Systems. And a couple of interesting things he has there that you might want to check out. He's the author of The 7 Deadly Marketing Sins That Will Kill Your Business. And he is the host of a regular program, is the Small Business Marketing Show. And so he helps professionals and business owners create more time and profit through a couple of specific programs that he has. Clients on autopilot and referrals on autopilot. And that is what really attracted me to him there. I saw that he was an expert in referral marketing. And so I wanted him to come on and talk to us today about how to get more referrals for our business, because I've actually done a lot of studying up on this subject. And I don't know about you, Steve, but I've noticed that most of the time when people are talking about referrals, it's usually in context of typically real estate agents and insurance agents. And I don't know why that's such a focus for them. It's a great way to get more referrals, but every time I was looking around online for information that I could share with people on this topic, it always ended up being these situations where it was this personal selling. They were giving specific ideas around those topics, and it just doesn't apply to a vast majority of people. And so when I saw what you had going on and had spoken with you on other occasions and saw that you could apply this to any small business, in particular people running a business on their own, I was very intrigued, and of course have seen a lot of your material. I think it's excellent, and so I'm very excited to have you on here.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here, and this is a topic I'm particularly passionate about because I work with a lot of sales professionals and a lot of small business owners, and if you go and attend a meeting of small business owners, whether you go to a conference or you go to the local Chamber of Commerce meeting or wherever it may be, and you kind of overhear, listen in on some of those conversations that they're having, most of the time if someone is asked, well, how do you get clients, how do you get customers, the answer will invariably be, I get most of my business through word of mouth or through referrals. And we know anecdotally that it's true. I think we've all probably had that experience where we've heard somebody say that. But the truth is that the vast majority of businesses, and in the studies that are out there, somewhere around 8 out of 10 say that even though we get the majority of our business through referral, and the New York Times puts it at 65% as the amount of business that flows through referrals. So we know we get the majority of our business through referral, but 8 out of 10 business owners admit that they have no proactive system for getting referrals. Most will tell you that they don't know how to engineer a referral, how to make one show up when they want it to show up. And so you've got this situation where you've got business owners that know that getting referral business is great because, as Nielsen has found in their studies, referrals convert at a 4 times greater rate than any other type of new lead or new prospect. So they're great to get. We all know that if we get a referral, we're probably going to do business, but none of us knows how to make it happen. And so, you mentioned that a lot of the information that's out there and online is targeted at real estate agents and insurance professionals, and that's because, first and foremost, there are a lot of them out there. But in those two industries, referrals are looked upon as really sort of the holy grail of marketing in those industries, and that's what they're taught. So you see a lot of that out there. But in virtually every industry, no matter who you talk to, and in small business especially, the real emphasis is on how do I get referrals, and I need to get more referrals, but very few people have a systematic approach to it. And so through through the businesses that I've run and through some workshops and research that I did in preparation for those workshops, and I taught last year a series of workshops on referral marketing, taught a little over 100 business owners in those workshops, got a chance to interact with them and really kind of dive deep and figure out what it was that was making them feel like they had no proactive way to get referrals, making them feel like it was a hard thing to do. I really began to get this clear picture of what needs to change in our approach to referrals. And so hopefully we can talk about some of that today.
Absolutely. And I completely agree. And referrals are the holy grail of marketing there because people convert. They become clients and customers. But we all know this. But why are we not doing it? Can you tell us a bit about, and this will lay the foundation for how to move forward, but what are the obstacles that are keeping businesses from getting the referrals?
Sure. Yeah. Well, when I was teaching those workshops, I asked business owners who were attending what was holding them back, and it really boils down to 4 barriers. And the first of those is that most people are simply uncomfortable asking for referrals. Most of us in business, unless we're really hotshot salespeople, are a little bit uncomfortable in a selling situation anyway. And we feel like if we've just made a sale and we've got this new client, they've given us money and we really wanted the money, okay? And so they've given us what we really wanted. We feel like we're almost a little bit indebted to them most of the time. And we can challenge that feeling another day, but I don't believe that it's true, because anytime you have a transaction, there's generally a fair exchange of value, and generally the client is getting more value than what they're paying for if the business is run well. So, but there's this feeling on the part of a lot of folks in business that, okay, I just got this thing that I really wanted. I got the money, and it almost is a little bit, I'm uneasy going back and now asking for more. And asking for a referral is coming back and asking for more. So the first barrier is that you're just a little bit uncomfortable asking. The second most common is that you don't know how to ask, and the words that you use when asking for a referral matter a great deal. There are no magic words, but the tone and the presence that you have and the approach that you take does matter a great deal. When I'm teaching seminars, I tell the story about when I bought my first car, and I was so excited about buying this car. I was fresh out of college. I had a great job, and I went right down and decided I was going to get this bright red Acura Integra. It was 1994, and I was going to splurge and get the one with the moonroof, and it was this huge emotional buy for me. And I got all done and negotiated, and the sales manager of the dealership comes in, and I mean, almost to the point of giving me the third degree, raking me over the coals, trying to get me to cough up names and telephone numbers at the time. This is before email, and so I may be dating myself here for some of your audience, but names and phone numbers of friends and family members, because they were going to call them and try and sell them an Acura. And the transaction was great up until that point, but the way this guy asked for referrals killed his chance of ever getting them. And had he asked the right way with the right tone, he probably would have gotten everything that he wanted. The other end of the spectrum is you find people that beg for them, and they do it from a real position of weakness, and that doesn't work either. And so if
We've
you don't
all
know
experienced those things, and we're afraid of being that way ourselves. Huh?
Right, exactly. And so if you don't strike this balance and you don't know how to ask, that's another barrier, and I hear that a lot. The third is that you don't know when to ask. And I've been in businesses with really long sales and really long delivery cycles, and so in the first business I owned, we get a new client, and the time from when they became a client until we completed that initial delivery on that first transaction could be anywhere from 6 months to 6 years. And so the challenge was, well, when in that time period do we ask for the referral? If you're in a much more transactional business, maybe it gets a little bit simpler, but for most of the people who are listening to this, they're probably in some sort of a service business, and they probably have that longer period of time. And so you've got to come up with a great time to ask. And then the fourth barrier is that you don't have a system for asking every customer every time. And if you don't have a system, then everything will break down, and just because you won't remember to ask, you're not going to give yourself as many opportunities, and therefore you're not going to get as many referrals. And so those are really the four barriers. And as I started looking at all of what had been written out there on how to get referrals, and I came across all the stuff that you've mentioned for the the insurance industries and real estate, and you see a lot of it related to banking as well. Most of it comes down to two pieces of advice. And the first is, well, you just need to ask more often, and that works. And the other is, well, you just need to say the right thing. And of course, that works too, but if we're already uncomfortable asking, we're not going to ask more often. I mean, just giving someone a script if they're uncomfortable,
it shows.
Someone will master that. Some will master that, and they'll do well with it. But most people are still going to feel so uncomfortable with that process that it's not going to be the solution for them. So I started looking for a different way to approach it, because underlying all of those obstacles is really this thing that people don't often talk about. But with every referral that is requested, there's this underlying implied sales pressure. See, because when you ask for a referral, there are three people involved. You're involved, the person giving the referral, and the person that is being referred. All three of you know what the end result of that referral will be. No one is unclear about that. And we all perceive it, each of the three of us in that little triangle perceive it differently. So if I'm asking for the referral, I know that the end result that I want from that is a sales appointment with the person that I want to be introduced to.
Right.
Well, the middleman or woman, the person making the introduction, knows that they're going to send someone that they care about into a sales meeting. Now, who wants to send someone that they care about into a sales meeting?
Right. They've got a relationship with this person that they don't want harmed.
Exactly. And there's risk there.
Yeah.
Even if they trust you, there's risk there. That's why, people talk about referrals, and they say that there's got to be, this really high level of trust and all, and they're absolutely right. It has to be a very high level of trust to make it happen when the next step is, hey, let's have a sales meeting. And then, of course, the person who's being referred, I mean, unless they have a real immediate need, probably doesn't want to have that meeting, but now they're going to feel obligated and pressured because a friend of theirs has set up this meeting. And so they're going to feel like they have to take the meeting, and they're looking for the exit often.
That just happened to me today.
Yeah. So
my mother is setting me up with a call for somebody that I don't even know who they are this afternoon. And I'm into it saying, I'm not sure that I really want to be here, but it's my mother.
Right.
And so there I am.
And so we've got to figure out a different way to go about this. And I spent a lot of time in direct response marketing and internet marketing. And in direct response marketing, we use this idea of a lead magnet to generate leads. And so I started thinking, well, what if we combine the idea of giving away something? And a lead magnet, for those who don't know, is generally some information that would be really valuable to your ideal client. So if they're facing some particularly hairy problem that you solve, you put down maybe some of your best ideas, some of the things that they need to think about as they're understanding the problem that they face. You don't have to give them the solution. Oftentimes, if someone's at a really early stage in trying to figure out that even if they have a problem, just helping them understand the problem better is more valuable at that stage than giving them the whole solution. And so if you can give them some information in that model, in this lead magnet, you have a way to get someone who is really interested to stand up and say, yeah, okay, I need to take a further step with you. But it's done in a way that really removes all of that sales pressure, because they're not forced to come in and have a meeting with you. They're not going to be put in a situation where they feel like, they're there to be sold to. You're going to give them something first. And if you look at all of the referral-based networking groups, BNI is a good example. Le Tip, Chamber of Commerce groups are out there all over the world. They all tend to operate on this idea that you have to give to receive. That's not a new philosophy, by the way. It's been around for a few thousand years. And this is really just taking that philosophy but packaging it up and taking all the pressure out. And so what I started doing was I started sharing with my clients this idea of creating what I call a referral kit. And in this kit, it might have, the answers to some of the common questions that a prospect has. It might have answers maybe to some questions that they really should be asking, but maybe they don't know enough to ask those questions. And what we do then is we go to that person who we'd like to get the referral from, who we'd like to make the introduction, and we offer this to them as a go-between. And you say, usually, and here's the secret for when to ask for the referral as well, because I know everybody who's listening to this is going to go, well, wait, when do we ask? Whenever you have a client thank you for something that they've done, in other words, they're expressing gratitude to you, that's the perfect time to ask. So Jeremy, they might say, thank you so much for spending time with me today on the mastermind call and helping me think through this particular issue with my marketing, or through this issue with this other client that I have. And the perfect thing to say right there to bring up the idea of a referral is, you're welcome, I'm so glad that helped you. Do you know anyone else who might be facing a similar problem whom we also should be helping? And of course, if you can be specific there rather than just saying anyone, by all means be more specific. But oftentimes they'll come back and they'll say yes. And you'll say, great, here's what I propose we do. I've put together this packet of information for people who face this type of problem. What I think we should do is, if you'll give me their contact information, I'll send it to them with your compliments, and then I'll follow up a couple of days later to make sure that they received it and see if I can answer any of their questions. And so most of the time what you'll find is that people will say, oh, that's great, that'll really help that person. And none of that pressure is there, because all you're offering to do at this point is give value, and you're going to make the person who is making that introduction look really good and boost them up, and you're going to truly be helping the person you're being introduced to. And if business flows from it, great. If not, you need to be okay with that. But give to give value. And that tends to take all the pressure out of it. Now, some people are going to say that they're not comfortable giving you the contact information. That's okay. You just ask them to deliver the packet for you. But I always like to try and stay in control of that process so that I know that it gets through. And so we came up with this different approach to getting referrals, and that's one of the 4 steps that I teach my clients. And I know we're a little bit short on time, and I will tell folks in a minute where they can go and learn about the other steps. But good. But that's the first of these steps, and what we find is when we just put that one in place, the people who start to use it, the business owners that start to use it, just get this sense of relief, like, oh, great, I don't have to be that slimy used car salesman begging for referrals anymore. I can give something really good away, and it's not costing me much of anything to do it, and it's making me look really good to everybody involved, and it just makes them feel so much better about it, and it removes all those barriers. So,
and usually the person who is passing this along, they've probably experienced this referral kit as well. They know what kind of information is in there. and how it's people receive it. They know how they felt when they were looking it over.
Yes,
How it
often.
answers the questions and the information that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're in there that, oh, what's going to happen? Oh, the people I refer are going to see this information that I know I liked and is very useful and very
Exactly.
helpful. And so there's little risk there for them.
Exactly. They know exactly what's going to be received and the value of it and all of that. So it works very, very well. And what we're finding is that with my consulting clients who are applying this, they're seeing an increase in the number of referrals that they ask for because they're more comfortable. And they're also finding that when they ask someone for a referral, instead of getting one, they're often getting introduced to 3, 4, 5, 10. I had one client who talked with one of his clients about this, and then she forwarded his information to 60 people in one swoop. And so, and of course, not all of them were ready yet, and that's okay. But they've now all been introduced. And of course, then he can follow up with them over time.
Well, excellent, Steve. And I know we're pretty short on time here, and so let's wrap it up. But I definitely want people to understand how they can get in touch with you and get the further information that you talked about. And how can they do that?
Sure. Two places that they can go. The first is to my main website, which is stevegordonmarketing.com. And if they go there, they'll see up at the top of the homepage an opportunity to download a book that I wrote called The 7 Deadly Marketing Sins That Will Kill Your Business. And in there, I talk a lot about referrals, among other things. And so that's someplace where they can get some more information on some of the things we've talked about today. And then also, I have a training program called Referrals on Autopilot, and they can go there and learn more about some of the other ways that we take this idea of a referral kit and we use it in many different ways to really multiply the number of referrals that they get. And they can find that at referralsonautopilot.com.
Excellent. And I love this whole idea of the referral kit. That's actually one of the first things that I saw that you were teaching, that I said, oh, hey, this is a bit different. I like this. And so I'm glad that we had some time to talk about it, and I hope everybody listening heard this and got some ideas and started to get those juices flowing on how they could use something like this to not only make referrals for them comfortable, but make other people referring them comfortable as well. And I think it's an excellent idea. All right. Well then, Steve, thank you very much for being on here. I appreciate it, and I really like what you've got going on, and so I encourage everybody to take a look at his website and get to know what he's talking about here and get those referrals flowing on a much more regular basis.
Great, Jim. Thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Steve. We'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.